Welcome to the Be Magnetic podcast, where we ignite deep abundance and step into soul-led success without losing joy, freedom, or peace. This is for the woman who is bored, disconnected, and exhausted trying to win a game she doesn't want to play anymore. If your soul is calling for more flow, more ease, more magic, but you're not sure how to get there, get ready to become magnetic and create a life that is as juicy and abundant as you've always dreamed it could be. Hi and welcome back to the podcast. How would you feel if I told you that we're going to create a vision board together today? I'm so excited. I haven't created mine just yet, but I've carved out some time between the years to actually sit down and create it. I'm so excited. I usually create my vision board like in November or something, but this year was just like really hectic. And I do want to have the space and time to actually lean into this fully. So nonetheless, I do want to talk about how to create a vision board that actually works today, because we're approaching this time of the year where we are actually like sitting down and setting those goals. And I want you to be really prepared. And especially if you've been, creating vision boards for years and you've been kind of keen on making the process more effective, or maybe you notice that it's like a lot of effort to manifest sometimes the things on your vision board, or some things that haven't manifested yet. This episode is for you, because I'm going to share some of the tactics that I use to manifest almost my entire vision board this year. So to give you a backstory, I shifted my approach to goal setting and like creating vision boards and manifesting and all of that about like 1.5 years ago. So the energy with which I approached my goals this year was so different to anything I've ever done. And it's been wild because I've created like a big vision board, and I've kind of separated it in 3 like tiny ones. One was like more like personal life, kind of vibe related. The other one was also life related, but more of the stuff like travels and like personal expansions and things like that on it. And the other one was very business related, the third one. And I kid you not, but I've probably manifested like 90% of what was on this vision board. And the only things that I didn't manifest yet are because I've put some of the things on there that I knew that I wasn't necessarily going for this year already. So I've put some of the like the longer term visions on there as well. And obviously they haven't manifested yet. And then there's been a couple other things that I just down the line throughout the year, I noticed that maybe now is not the right time yet for this to come through. So I didn't as intentionally like back that up. So these are the things that are still kind of on my vision board, but everything else has, I kid you not, manifested. And that's been wild, because before I definitely had like some things that I really wanted really badly, and then they didn't happen, and like it was so sad. But yeah, anyway, I wanted to share with you the exact process that I used to create this vision board, so you can also have this incredible experience of like having everything of it manifest. And again, I mean, the important disclaimer that I want to add moving into this is to be aware of what I just said, right? Maybe you're going to put things on there that aren't meant to manifest this year, because either you'll realize down the line that they're not, or you never intend to manifest them like this year anyway, or like the next year anyway. And the important thing is to actually acknowledge that to yourself, because I know that sometimes we deep down inside know that no, we actually don't really want to manifest this year, but we kind of tell ourselves the story that we do, and so we kind of trick ourselves into believing that that is something that we so badly want right now, and then we're so devastated when it doesn't happen. And I just want you to get really clear and honest with yourself of what it is actually that you want this year, so that you can have the success experience. So the first step is to take your time with deciding what comes on it, and that's kind of picking up where I just left off, you want to get really dead honest with yourself whether the things that you put on there are actually what you truly want. And there's a couple things that we need to discern. First of all, we need to discern, is this something that I want because I want it, or is this something that someone else or the media made me want, right? So is this something that your soul is truly craving, or do you just want this because it, like, someone else has it and it looks cool, or because someone else told you that, you know, if you have that then you're liked more or whatever, right? So you really just want to put the things on there that your soul is truly craving. I know this takes a lot of discernment and a lot of honesty with yourself, but it is so worth it, because most of the time the stuff that's not manifesting is the stuff that we don't actually want anyway. And by just telling ourselves the story that we want something really bad because it makes us look cool, because someone else has it, and because it gives us recognition and stuff, just creates this devastating experience that honestly we don't really need. So be really honest with yourself. Also be really honest and discerning of the timeline in which you would want to call this in. And again, it's totally cool to put things on your vision board that maybe you want to manifest in 2-3 years down the line, but then I want you to put it on with that intention, right? Because it's kind of, I'm going to use a very like specific example to kind of make sense of this. For example, if you put a picture of like a pregnant woman on your vision board because you want to have kids, but if you're honest with yourself, you don't really want to have them next year because there's so many other things that you still want to do, but like you put it on there with the intention of manifesting this next year, and then you kind of move through the year and like unconsciously you kind of know and sense it's not the right time, and so you don't, you know, do what's necessary, and so at the end of the year you realize, okay, I didn't get pregnant, and so now you tell yourself the stories of how you're a failure and how this isn't manifesting and maybe it's not meant to be and all this stuff, when in the first place you never actually wanted to get pregnant this year. So you can still put that picture on there, but put it on with the intention of, okay, not now, but maybe later, or when the time is right, and I will know when the time is right. Right? And so you can keep that then for the next year and the next year and the following year and so on. So take the time to be very discerning and decide what comes on the vision board. That is the first step. The second step is to, when you start like taking out, like picking the pictures and stuff that you're gonna put on your vision board, you want to pick the right pictures. And by right pictures, I mean pictures that actually engage your unconscious mind. So ideally you want to use pictures that like a scene of like you having this already, right? So for example, when you want to get pregnant, you can like have a woman like who's taking a selfie or something, or like of her belly or something, like in a perspective that kind of looks like you took it yourself. Or when you manifest a car, for example, you can like have a picture where, you know, the pictures where someone kind of takes a photo of their, like the wheel, or not, it's not the wheel, like the thing where you manage the wheels, basically. I don't know what it's called. But anyway, kind of that in the driver's seat. Because it looks like it's taken from your perspective. This is exactly what you probably see when you manifested the car and you're sitting in it and you're about to drive in it. And you want to have pictures like that, so that it does look like you, to your subconscious mind, every time you look at it, as if it was already real and happening. And then you also want to have pictures that obviously awake that feeling of like what it would feel like to have this already. So before we actually pick out these pictures, I want you to write down what it is that you want, so that you can then later on pick out the right pictures. So you've decided what you want, what comes onto the vision board. So now write it down, and write it down in the right way. So first of all, you want to write it down in the present tense. And you want to ideally start with like thank you. So thank you for the incredible flat, or like 5-bedroom flat, whatever, that feels like. And then you want to include how having that makes you feel. That feels like the most expansive home I've ever lived in, or whatever. Or that gives me goosebumps all over my body, something like that. And that's the way you want to write down everything, because that then helps you later pick the right pictures. While you're writing down, you also want to engage all your senses. So you want to actually picture this, or like tune into the feeling of it, right? What does it smell like? What does it sound like? What does it look like? What does it taste like? What does it feel like, right? You want to, like, when you write this down, like, engage all your senses, and then like write a couple of the things that come through for you, write them down as well. Then you go pick the right pictures, as we just discussed. And then once you've, you know, put this together, and, you know, give yourself the time, right? With the pictures, as much as with choosing what comes on the vision board, give yourself time, like pick some of the pictures, then come back a couple days later and like check in, like, are these pictures really representing the feeling or the thing, or is there maybe a different picture that you could choose? And then once you feel like it's more or less done and like pasted together, what I want you to do is visualize this whole thing as if. So you're gonna go and look at each picture separately, and you're gonna tune yourself into that picture and visualize a moment of that manifestation as it would be if it already manifested. So for example, if you're wanting to manifest a car, you can go and visualize the moment when they hand you the keys, or your first drive. The important thing is you want to visualize a moment that you're gonna want to manifest. So that's going to be a moment that will likely happen in the process of manifesting this, but at a time that indicates it's already manifested. You don't want to manifest like something too much like early in the manifestation process, but also something that is, so for example, when you're manifesting, I don't know, like $1 million or whatever, you don't want to manifest like yourself working for it, or like pitching to the people or something like that. You don't want to visualize that. You want to visualize, for example, the number like landing in your paycheck, or you want to visualize yourself like distributing the money or doing whatever you want to do with the money or something like that. And you're gonna tune into every picture and visualize a scene of, you know, that kind of indicates that this has already manifested, and you're gonna do this for like 30 seconds per picture, or maybe even up to a minute. And you can even do this for the first couple weeks, like every single day, to just like solidify the vision. And then you just let it go, paste it up there, and go your work. Wait. So that is basically the process. So the 5 steps are: take your time with deciding what comes on the vision board. The second step is then to write it down first, and write it down in the right way. The third point is to engage all your senses as you're writing it down, as you're, you know, selecting the pictures. The fourth thing is then to pick the right pictures. And the fifth thing is to visualize as if. So that is my love, the process of creating a vision board that actually works. I cannot wait to see the vision boards that you're putting together. Make sure, or like if you feel inspired, you can message me and like send me a vision board, a picture of it, whatever. I would love to see and like hold space for what you're manifesting, and, you know, send all the good vibes your way. If you want to have like some spiritual guidance, or like, you know, spiritual support on this journey, you can also download my 3-part spiritual toolkit, which has anxiety clearing, a protection, energy protection, and connecting with divine guidance meditation. So 3 meditations on it. And these are also extremely helpful, especially in the like early stages of the manifestation process of this, because they're gonna help you to keep your energy in check as you're like building the faith and building the strength to like go about manifesting this vision. And then of course, if you want to dive into something more in depth, whether that's in business or in life or around your vision, or maybe you want to get a year ahead reading, you can book channel readings with me below as well. These are single, like one-off readings, and we can tap into anything and everything that you feel called. So that being said, no matter what has been or what hasn't been. This is a clean slate. You get to create a very brand new vision board and you get to make it powerful. And you have everything you need right now to make it powerful. Yeah, and if you want to keep feeding your mind with great information, great insights, great frequency, I've linked a couple episodes below that I highly recommend you to tap into to set your energy, your headspace for the new year. That being said, if you're new here, I would love for you to give the show a 5-star rating. This helps the podcast so much, and I appreciate it so highly. And yeah, make sure to come back next week. Bye.